I have some hilarious stuff involving Republican Florida Senator Marco Rubio. This is all related to climate change. I have two clips for you. The first one is from yesterday. Marco Rubio was unable to name a single source for his climate change denial point of view when he was asked, why is it that you deny human-based climate change? Can you tell us where you got that idea? And his answer, completely unsurprisingly, contained no citations of any kind. Take a look.
What information, reports, studies, or otherwise are you relying on to inform and reach your conclusion that human activity is not to blame for climate change?
Well, again, I mean, headlines notwithstanding, I've never disputed that the climate is changing, and I pointed out that climate, to some extent, is always changing. It's never static. That's not the question before me as a policymaker. The question before me as a policymaker is, if we ban all coal in the U.S., if we ban all carbon emissions in the United States, will it change the dramatic changes in climate and these dramatic weather impacts that we're now reading about? And anyone who says that we will is not being truthful. The truth of the matter is the United States is a country. It is not a planet.
Yeah, completely unrelated statements. Not only is his answer not an answer to the question, what evidence do you have that humans are having no effect on climate? He actually is slightly walking back what he said over the weekend, which is that he doesn't believe human activity is causing the dramatic changes to the climate. Instead, he's saying, well, even if that's the case, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't, the United States alone can't really do anything about it. And he's actually, this is a really interesting thing. Marco Rubio is correct that the U.S. can't unilaterally, without the help and involvement of other countries, help to resolve the climate change crisis that we have. But the U.S. accounts for 19% of the entire planet's carbon emissions. So while, yes, it's true, the U.S. can't do this alone, the U.S. has a huge, huge opportunity to drastically cut carbon emissions more than any other individual country.
It shows a lot about the way this man thinks when he thinks that cutting 20% of the world's carbon emissions just wouldn't be worth it because other countries are still doing it too. I mean, can't we set a good example here?
Well, that's
can't we
the other thing.
Can't you just do the right thing?
If he believes that the U.S. is the best country, is the leader, why wouldn't he think that by making a big dent in the 19% of world carbon emissions, he wouldn't get other countries to follow? Other countries should be eager to follow the leadership of the United States. And then this is really funny. He was interviewed on CNN, and in order to cast doubt on what President Obama has said about climate change, which is it's real and it's here and we have to deal with it, Marco Rubio said that the president is not a meteorologist. How that's related to this, I really don't know. Maybe he meant climatologist, but it's true. He's not a meteorologist. Take a look at this.
Do you agree with that urgency?
You know, listen, I think severe weather has been a fact of life on Earth since man started recording history. I understand that there's a vast consensus of scientists that are saying that human activity is what's contributing to changes in our climate. I think it's an enormous stretch to say that every weather incident that we now read about the majority of them are attributable to human activity. But here's what we need to deduce as policymakers, because that's what the president is. He's not a meteorologist. And here's what the president needs to be focused on, and that is...
Yeah, I mean, he's right, Lewis. President Obama has never said he's a meteorologist. He has never pretended to be a meteorologist. However, I don't know how being a meteorologist is relevant when you have actual climate scientists explaining to you in a 97 to 3% proportion that humans are having an effect on the climate.
It's just good to have on the record one of the 5 true things that Marco Rubio has ever said.
Lewis, let me make another point. President Obama is not a brain surgeon. He's just not. And that is something I think everybody needs to know when it comes to climate change.
Which is why Obamacare has to go, David.
Right. That's actually a good point. Yeah, President Obama is not a surgeon, and therefore the Affordable Care Act must be repealed. Let's try to pass that repeal 40 times in the House. Unsuccessfully, of course, eventually. Okay, let's take a break. We're going to have Hatriot Mail for you today. We're going to have a serious debate today with investigative journalist James Herson about whether the conspiracy theories around RFID mandatory implantation have any credibility whatsoever. And we have so much more coming up today. Our program is viewer supported. We also do a whole extra program just for our supporters called The Bonus Show. It's hosted by Lewis. Go to davidpakman.com/membership to sign up today.